Good morning, everyone. I'm just coming on here live to talk to you this week about what's happening in Edmonton's single family home real estate market. It's already the middle of October and the weather is a little cooler. There was a bit of frost on the ground and things are still moving. There's homes still selling, but definitely the pace is slower. So let's take a look and see. I just filmed the monthly market stats last week, so you will see September's market stats this week for all of Edmonton single family homes and the different types of properties we have. So you want to watch that when it comes out this weekend. So let's take a look, and if you are watching live, make sure to comment and ask any questions that you might have. So take a look at the single family home market for listings. They're pretty similar from last week. I mean, they went up by 40, which kind of means if there were sales, which there was not that many sales and not that many new listings because the offset was only a difference of 40 that went up. So if we had 100 go up, why did the number only go up 40? Because 60 in total were taken. So then it kind of brings the number down. And that number is pretty on par for this time of year. And I would say that the next couple months, I wouldn't expect it to be anything too crazy as we kind of continue on. I do think that week over week, we'll probably start to see more listings added and we won't see such a small increment. It'll probably start to grow quite a bit. Again, depending on how many people are listing their homes and putting them up for sale. And you have to be really careful with your pricing when it comes to listing your home right now. I mean, this entire year was a correction. I wouldn't say a complete correction, but a definite slowdown. And buyers were not as willing to pay so much over list price anymore. They need to make sure that the house is what it's worth because there's not as many buyers out there competing, and that's what kind of changes the price. If you take a look at the surrounding areas, everything's been pretty similar in terms of how many new listings came on the market or current listings are on the market. They're all within the range, within 5 to 10 listings. Now, if you take a look at what has been pending, so houses that went under contract, you can see a bit of a dip here. So Edmonton single family homes went down by 48. St. Albert was the same. Sherwood Park was about 10 and Spruce Grove was 9. So it dropped by half. Don't forget, these are areas that are smaller than Edmonton, and that's why they're much smaller in sales number. And then if there is a big dip, that is something to just note. Spruce Grove is a very popular West End suburb of Edmonton because it has been the most affordable, has always been out of all the ones that are listed here. And we've seen an influx in sales there. There's a lot of new builds in that neighborhood as well too, just when you get into Spruce Grove. So it's really close to living in Edmonton, sometimes closer living there than other places in Edmonton. The pending sales for single family homes in Edmonton at 150. Not surprising. We've had Thanksgiving this weekend, and also just it's October. So things are just starting to get a little bit quieter. So let's take a look at the number of sold. So these are the listings that have went pending and then they got conditions removed and then sold, and also potentially unconditional offers, which I think there's a lot less of. If you take a look at the number of sold, that is something quite interesting. It's a lot lower. So when you take a look at deals that were under contract last week and the week before, because sometimes deals are anywhere from 7 business days average is what it is. So it could be over a 2-week period. This is the activity that would have been removing conditions from 2 weeks ago. Sometimes you have deals that have conditions that have been extended. So anyways, all that to say is in the last 7 days, we had a change from 165 the week before to 129, and 6 in St. Albert versus 20, 9 in Sherwood Park versus 13, and 8 in Spruce Grove over 14. So overall, the entire week this week has been extremely slow in moving in terms of removing conditions. Now let's take a look at last year. Last year, we were a lot busier than we have been over just this year. And if you take a look at the difference. We had 221 sales in this last week compared to 129 this year. And if you take a look at the surrounding areas, also quite a bit of a dip. So what does that mean? To me, okay, it's the first week we've seen such a huge dip for this whole year. So let's see if this continues. If the number stays the same next week and the week after that and the week after that, we're definitely downward trending. If this is a one-off, 1 week thing, and it just goes back to, you know, closer than what we've been used to, that's fine. But we have been, just so you, if you haven't been watching this whole time, we have been tracking lower than last year, this entire year. So it does not surprise me that our market has been slower. Our increase for average price on single family homes isn't as high as it was last year, but you can see why. We don't have near as many sales. We're almost at half of what we were before. And so does that mean as a buyer, you can just start lowballing things and you're going to get them? No. As long as things are priced what they should be, you should be able to, here's the benefits you're going to get in this market. You're going to have time to be able to make a decision and do the research. You're going to have hopefully the opportunity to not be competing against so many people. Those two things are worth a lot, because as a buyer, especially first time home buyer, I mean, any buyer, you're buying a large asset, one of the biggest things that you own, and to feel pressured into making decisions hasn't been a good thing. So now you have the ability to breathe, you have the ability to remove, and even when you make your offer, you can have the normal condition period time. Before it used to be like, oh, we got to get this done in like 2 days, 3 days, or like 0-day conditions so that we can win this offer. Now you have the ability to actually have conditions. You have the ability to do your research. You have the ability to put an offer and be able to figure things out. So as a buyer, you can just breathe a bit easier. You don't have to go look at the house immediately. You can just, you know, oh, it came on today. Maybe we'll go look at it tomorrow or the day after that we originally planned. If you are a seller, what does that mean for you in this market as it starts to shift and change and we don't see as many sales? As a seller, you just really need to make sure you're not pricing over what the market is giving. So if the market is showing that things are selling for 480,000, why on earth would you price at 500? Even in the market where we were busy, I've never suggested that. Pricing at market when it's really busy will entice a lot of offers and a lot of activity. Pricing at market when you're in a buyer's market is still going to entice people because it's priced properly. Pricing a little under market, no matter what the market is, will really entice. It will always get the activity. And if you've priced at a price that you think is what it should be, but then nobody comes into the home, we've clearly priced incorrectly. So if you price incorrectly, you need to make a quick adjustment. Now I'm talking about homes that are under 600,000. Homes that are over 600,000 have a completely different pricing strategy. So in general, if you're pricing on a home under 600,000 in the height market, if you didn't have people coming into your home in the first week, something is wrong with the pricing. If there is, in this market, now you can give yourself a bit more time, at least 2 weeks. So if no one comes in the first 2 weeks, you're still needing to make an adjustment. If it's the first week in this market, you can kind of give yourself a little bit more room to kind of just see how things go. But we don't have the luxury of time right now, with it being October, mid-October, and it to be usually at the, Halloween. If you're watching from out of province, we usually get a pretty big dump. And Halloween is usually kids wearing snowsuits, not kids wearing costumes. So I'm going to take a look into some neighborhoods in this live. So if you're watching live and you have curiosity about a neighborhood, on how it's doing, because you're wondering, hey, I'm thinking of buying in this neighborhood, what's going on there? So I'm going to take a look at a West End neighborhood in Edmonton. I'm going to look at an older neighborhood, and I'm going to look at a newer neighborhood. So I'll show you first the map in case you're watching from out of province or out of the city and you're wondering, where on earth is this place you're talking about? So if you take a look at the map here, if you're wondering, like Sherwood Park, when I had the stats, that is over on this side, you see here. St. Albert's up here, Spruce Grove's over here, right there. Atchison is an industrial area. But let's see. So this is the river valley that runs through Edmonton, and this yellow ring road I refer to a lot. Anything outside of this ring road is newer, less than, I would say, 25 years or newer. And then the stuff inside is going to be at least, it's usually from the 90s. So you've got like 30, 40 years at least in here. And then as the more you get into the city, it gets older. So I'm going to look in. If you look here, let's give you so this is the West Edmonton Mall. Any word on if the city's going to open the land south of 41st Ave for development? That's a great question. I can look into that for next week. I do not know that answer off the top of my head. So here is the West Edmonton Mall. So if you're looking in here, that construction all down this road for the LRT is happening right here. So it's still going. And then the construction here, Lewis Farms Transit Center. But the Lewis Farms Rec Center is actually this piece of land here in Rosenthal, between Rosenthal and Secord. And that is chugging along. And actually, I saw that they are removing the cranes this month. And they're going to start just do all the close-in work. Like they're closing everything up, the structure. So that'll be interesting to see as that progresses. If you follow me on Instagram, we do post little update videos here every now and then. So make sure to take a look because we'll probably get one up there this week. So yeah, if you take a look, we're going to look down the same kind of street. So you got 87th Ave. We've got Aldergrove, which is a great neighborhood. I would pick out of these three, Belmead, Summerlee, Thorncliffe, Aldergrove. I would pick Aldergrove to invest my money in. So an up and coming, not up and coming. It's a family neighborhood that has always been pretty consistent. I personally like this feel of this neighborhood. We've had some families move in here and it's just been more desirable than Belmead. I believe Belmead has just a little bit more, it's like the older style zeros. It's a little bit crowded, more crowded feeling. And we'll take a look at what is happening in the Aldergrove area. So you can see how much the homes are for sale. And those homes are built usually in the 70s. Oh, so there's only 3 homes. 2 of them are pending and 1 is active. So it's definitely something that moves quickly. The price point's between $435,000, $449,000, 61 days on market, 32 days on market. And then you've got this one at 36 days on market at $519,000. So homes are definitely sitting a little bit longer because usually you see pending in the old market. You would see pending in like the first 3 days, 7 days, 10 days. You wouldn't see such a long days on market. But that is very typical of what's going on right now. So let's take a look at the one in the middle. This one's $449,000 listed. It's quite small house, large yard, large lot. I'm trying to say yard and lot at the same time. But they've put in vinyl planking and flooring on the 1 floor. There's hardwood. Kitchen's in the front of the house. That's interesting. Sometimes homes take a while to sell as well too if the layout isn't your standard typical layout. This looks like a very custom layout. And so it's not for everybody. You got the pink countertops. So it looks like the 90s. So, and there's smaller rooms and you've got kind of like a mix mash of different finishings, right? Like, I don't know if you've noticed, there's just a lot of different flooring and finishing, different styles. So then that typically will help be harder to sell and move quicker. So if you're looking at moving a home that is not as cohesive, and you've renovated over the years, it's going to be a bit more of a challenge. That one's 1,300 square feet, 4-level split. And then this other one's even smaller, 1192. So split levels have sometimes measured the first 2 floors above grade, but sometimes the 3rd floor is included, and the 4th isn't. Again, it depends on the home. So split level homes are typically from a certain age range. So this was, where is it? 1983, 4-level split, 1311 square feet. And let me just go back to the list. Now, these are homes that are for sale or pending. Yeah, 1984, 1983, 1974. So pretty normal there. Let's see what's sold, just so you can get an idea of what the price points are in there. So we're going to look at the last 30 days, which might not be a lot. Oh, 60 days, 8 properties sold. And we're looking from 280 all the way to 502. So 500 is kind of the higher price point. You got 497 here. These 2 are both bungalows. Bungalows are homes that are all on 1 floor versus over 2 floors. And you can see there's a lot of split levels in Aldergrove. This home on the market for 1 day, boom, gone. Like it was sold over list price too by like $19,000, almost $20,000 over list. So it is still happening, right? That's still happened in the last 2 months. There are homes still moving quickly. So this house listed at 450 and sold for over. And you can see it's a big house. Oh, I don't know, the pool table is probably stuck there, but that it could be probably used as a living room. But as you can see, there's not a whole lot of homes. The prices continue to move up. The average price of a home in Edmonton is now over 500,000, right? So can you imagine getting this home for 450? Neither did everyone else. So they just jumped on it and decided to put in more money than it was listed for to get this home. Got some older windows so that they could get it. They got some hardwood throughout the floor. Like, this has been renovated. This is an older original, but then the floors in the living room are not original. Those are newer floors. So you can see that's what's been selling there. If you take a look at, just go down the road. So this is Aldergrove. We go down the road into Breckenridge Greens. This is like still 90s, early 2000s. And then down the road again is Rosenthal. So let's see, if you go drive down, let's go Breckenridge. We got 4 homes that sold in the last 60 days, ranging from 458 to 570. So you can see as you drive down 87th Ave, it starts to get more and more expensive. And you see these are more 2-story styles. This house that was sold for in 12 days, 1,900 square feet. You can see different layout, but very standard layout for this type of age of home. That's lino on the floors and that old eat-up kitchen island, which was very popular back then, and laminate countertops, not quartz countertops. So what does that look like for price range difference? If you're looking at selling, is it worth putting in quartz countertops? So it's going to change the value of the home by maybe a few $1,000s, and it's probably going to cost you around the same. So you just got to make sure that you do price your home equivalent. I would say that if you're looking, it's probably a $5,000 price difference that someone's willing to potentially pay extra instead of dealing with like replacing it. So it might only cost a couple $1,000s, but it all again depends on the buyer who's willing to put an offer on a house with that. As long as the laminate is in good shape, you should be okay. But if the laminate has worn over time, it's definitely going to be at least a $5,000 price change or difference between someone buying the identical layout versus one with laminate versus not. So this is Breckenridge Greens. This is like 2-story homes, 1990s, early 2000. And then we drive down further down the road and we get to Rosenthal. So in Rosenthal, now you have 25 homes selling in the last 60 days. So that's interesting. Less homes. Now, don't forget, there's more available properties in Rosenthal because there's a lot more newer homes. These are built anywhere from 2014 all the way to 2025. So you definitely have different age of home. You've got different styles of homes. In those other areas, those for single family, they were split levels and 2 stories and bungalows. You won't find a whole lot of bungalows here. You're going to find mostly 2 stories. The rare split level, it's just not common. I've seen those are the bigger split levels, and they're definitely not the same layout as the ones you find in Aldergrove. And you can see the price range here range from 364 all the way to 800,000. So you got this 800,000 property did take 118 days to sell. And then if you take a look at the next one, it's 738. So these two complete outliers because everything else is about 650 and under. And when you're looking to buy new in Rosenthal, you're looking in that 650 to 750 range for brand new house with no landscaping, no window coverings, but that's what the new builds are selling for. So you can definitely see a price change. You also have the 0 lot lines in Rosenthal compared to the ones in Aldergrove, and then you've got the homes that are like this where you've got the laned homes, right? The garages are in the back, they're not attached. Then you've got these homes that are front attached garage homes. It's taking forever to pull up a picture. So you can see this, and you can see, look at this. This is a tip for you. When you see width like this is more of a regular size, older style, because the newer homes, they with the zeros, look at the difference. I don't know if this is exactly a 0, but it probably is darn close. Look how small this is here. So the length, the garage door might be the same, but the width is very different, and that's going to be something important because it ends up being an oversized single. If you could technically fit two cars in there, but you won't be able to open the doors. So just be mindful when you're looking at homes in that area. So if you have any other questions, next week I'm going to look into this land for the development. We'll see if I can find any information, and we will talk to you guys next week. Bye bye.